Alrighty guys, hello and welcome back to the show. So today we have a tutorial slash cast on the cards for you guys. I think I'm going to call these replay reviews because I've been getting some more of them. But this was submitted by Fiasco21 and he asked that I go ahead and take a look at this and identify some things that I think that could have been done potentially better, and some things that I think he did really well, which there are both of. I've watched this video all the way through, and there are definitely some things that are really good fundamental core values that every Supreme Commander player should be doing, and then there are a couple things that could use some polish. So we're going to be jumping around during the replay a little bit on this one. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you guys have replays like this one that you want me to submit just while these guys are all getting set up, go ahead and send them my way. You can drop them in the comments below, or there is my Discord handle down underneath, down there in the description. So you guys can reach out to me on Discord as well. I've been talking to a couple of you guys on Discord, and you guys can send me replays that way as well. Either way works perfectly fine. Discord might be a little bit more reliable in the future because as the channel has been growing, which it's honestly like blown me away how much this has grown. I think I'm at like 115 subscribers, and I'm just very blessed. I can't really think of a better word, or fortunate that there are over 100 people out there that like watching this content. So I'm gonna stop blubbering now. We'll go ahead and get into the replay review, but send me any replays that you want me to take a look at. Introducing the players right quick, we have Fiasco21. He is the submitter for this replay. He's playing Seraphim over on the eastern side of the map, and then on the western side of the map we have his opponent Smoons, who I actually played a custom game with this guy a couple days ago. He's a pretty good player. He definitely didn't play like a -200, so this should be an excellent test of Fiasco's skills. So like I said, we're going to be jumping around. So we're going to pause real quick. Let's talk about something good that Fiasco is doing here. So I'm going to be focusing on Fiasco mostly because he's the one that submitted the replay. We've got engineers that are reclaiming this little tree clump right here. So fantastic job. Reclaim is something that took me forever to figure out that I was even supposed to do. So the fact that you are doing this right now is fantastic, and this is going to help you a lot whenever you move up the skill level, whenever you move up the skill levels. But one caveat to this is if you zoom out here and do Control Shift, you can see what the reclaim actually looks like on the map, okay? So as you can see right now where you have your engineers reclaiming, while you are picking up mass from this reclaim patch, that you could be picking up more if you go up here or if you have them come down here to these reclaim fields down here. Now there is a case to be made for doing reclaiming trees over rocks because trees do supply some energy, which is a little bit more of a limiting resource super early on in the game, but just keep that in mind. Using Control Shift to identify patches of important reclaim is very important whenever you are getting used to the game. So let's go ahead and continue on playing. Like I said, I'm going to be jumping around a little bit, so I'll be back next time I see something that is worth talking about. Okay, jumping back in here. So I was noticing your factory placement as well as how you moved your commander. So a couple things I would talk about here. Number one, you have plenty of power right now. So if we look at how much power you don't have plenty of power. Never mind, I take that back. I am full of shit apparently. Okay, so this is good that you're building additional power. I was going to criticize that, but it's good that you're building additional power here. What I would say though is you have these factories that you're building out, and there is a mass point right here where you could be dropping and getting adjacency bonuses. So if you watch any of my ladders, any of my ladder matches, I will be cycling through templates. One of the templates that I have are for factories that you can place around a mass extractor. That way you can get maximum adjacency bonus out of this mass extractor. Especially one that's a perimeter mass point like this one, where you will most likely, especially in a ladder match, not be upgrading this to T2, and you will not be adding mass storage to this. You definitely want to be ringing this with factories instead to gain the most out of the adjacency bonus. And if we want to look at adjacency bonus, there's a couple of videos that I've posted on adjacency bonus. It's definitely something that you should be utilizing. The other thing that I would point out is you've got your hydrocarbon plant up here. I would have taken your commander up and helped with the hydrocarbon instead of going down here and building out this mass point and then building this perimeter set of factories. So overall though, good start. You're doing a relatively good job of balancing your economy. I don't think I've seen you waste any mass. You are floating a lot of mass right now, so you could probably be putting this to good use. And you know, I say this, and you've also got some bad guys hitting you. So I'm gonna go back to Observer. I want to take a look at this. Oh man, okay. So he's trickling a lot of units over. So this would be another thing to work on, is radar. You're completely blind to all of these units that are coming in right now. Having the engineer that built this hydrocarbon, instead of having him build a point defense right there to protect it, which is good, you could have him build a radar station right here as well. And that radar station would get adjacency bonus from the hydrocarbon. You're not going to be bleeding a ton of power from that, and you will also be able to have intel on all of these units that are streaming in right now. And another thing that you could do, although I'm trying to target this towards your actions per minute, because as we all know, there are 4 resources in Supreme Commander. One of them is energy, the other is mass, but there are 2 that don't really show up on a slider, and that's build power and then actions per minute. And so the way I'm approaching this is not the way I think that I would approach this map, or that a professional especially would approach the way to play this map, but I'm trying to give you some very practical things that you can add quickly and easily that'll give you a really big performance boost in your game, instead of saying like, oh, you need to build like 1 additional power generator here or something like that. Fine-tuning things we can work out later. These are just some really practical and easy to follow things that would fit easily within the current actions per minute that you're able to exhibit. Okay, so these guys are coming in here. A series of wrecks. We have an anti-air defense. Okay, great. All right, so we'll go ahead and speed this up for a little bit. His commander is really far forward. Yeah, you should definitely engage that. But yeah, we'll go ahead and speed this up a little bit, and I'll be back with you guys next time I see something to talk about. Okay, never mind, I found it. So right now you're floating a ton of mass. And this is a problem that I run into as well. If you watch any of my ladder matches, I will usually be floating mass at some point or another. And wasting mass at some point or another. So I'm definitely not perfect whenever it comes to this, but it's something everybody should be able to get better on. So what you need to be doing, if you're plus 31 mass, you're basically, and I don't mean this to sound mean, but you're lighting money on fire here. This is mass that you are gaining that is literally doing nothing and just getting flushed down the toilet. So you should be taking this engineer and building additional factories. Like finish this factory out and build, you know, 4, 5, 6 more factories and get them all into production so that you can start using this mass that you're pulling in. So we'll go ahead and speed this up a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna slow this down. Wanted to talk about one thing, and I think you're doing a really good job here. I just watched like this really long fight here in the middle. You're doing a fantastic job of using your commander to fight enemy units. He's already got 50 kills and 2 ranks of vet. So I wanted to drop in and leave that comment really quickly, because that's something that whenever I was a newer player, I was very scared about using my commander, because you know, if the commander dies, you lose, and so that was something I was always very scared about. And I think that you're doing a really good job using this. So let's go ahead and speed this up, and I'll be back with you guys shortly. Okay, another thing I'm noticing is in your build order on this factory, you have all of these factories queued up individually, which I think is okay. I think that's a playstyle preference. I would have one factory with my ideal build order built out, and then have the other factories assisting that factory from a rally point perspective. But I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with the way that you have this set up. It just uses a couple more actions per minute. But the one thing I did want to talk about is you're building ISILs, so the T1 mobile anti-air gun. And if we go to Observer, he doesn't have any air factories. Like, he's going just all in on land. Matter of fact, you both are. So both of you are going all in on land, but you don't have any, you're building mobile anti-air guns for no reason, essentially, at this point. Neither of you are building air, and I think both of you actually might be, if I remember correctly, both of you are incorporating, yeah, we've got archers over here for this guy as well. So both of you guys have mobile anti-air guns that are just like HP sponges, I guess. Like they're not doing anything. It's a little different, I think, with like there's a semi case to be made for Cybran, because the Sky Slammers will also be able to shoot at the ground. But for the other 3 factions, if there's no air, take that out of your build order. It's just you're burning mass. Your commander's still doing work. You got a gun upgrade on him, which is, again, really good. You're using your commander a lot, and so it's good if you're using your commander a lot to kill a lot of units. It's good to upgrade his gun and give him a better weapon. So that's fantastic. Excellent job. One thing I'm also noticing, and I mean, this is just kind of the nature of this game. It's a very chaotic game. But at 17, 18 minutes, you're still pumping out T1, and both of you guys really are. You could have made a transition, I think, to T2 earlier. You don't have to stay at T1. If you go to T2 and start pushing Ilshivas, this guy's in big trouble if you start pushing Ilshivas. So, something to think about, especially if you're in a situation where, like you were in earlier, where you were floating a ton of mass but weren't necessarily using all of it. Maybe use some of that mass to upgrade to T2 land HQ. That's great. That's a great way to use some of the money. So let's go ahead and speed this up again. All right, another thing, I love what you're doing here is you're getting additional factories in kind of this perimeter manufacturing point, and then using them to push these really far forward factories that this guy has set up for you against you. So fantastic job there. There's a fine line in Supreme Commander between having too much centralized production and too much spread out production. So I tend to go towards the too spread out production side of things. So I will have like 1 factory in my main base, and then try and expand and get all my factories up elsewhere. So you're doing a really good job of kind of balancing where you have like kind of your central production facility with your power grid and radar, etc. But you're also building out these perimeter production facilities, which is really good. Yeah, really good. So well done there. I do also like the way that you expanded out to the map. You didn't just try and turtle in one particular point. You guys both you and Spoons did a pretty good job of that. But always great that you're out grabbing these mass extraction points. So I will bump the speed up again. I'll be back with you guys shortly. Okay, so another good thing that you're doing here is upgrading nano repair. I think, at least. Well, okay. So I have mixed feelings on this nano repair upgrade. Number one, like you're using your comm a ton, and it's working for you because you're only up against T1 and you have gun, and it has 153 freaking kills to its name. So nano repair is a good option here because you want to make sure that your comm is healthy, because that is what you are using as your primary battle unit. The reason why I have mixed feelings here is because, again, this is an instance where I think that you could be doing better things with these resources, like going to T2 land. Like, you're at 23 minutes. Build some Ilshivas, dude. Ilshivas would absolutely wreck. Like, you think your commander is wrecking? Imagine, like, your commander, but, like, you can replicate it. Imagine if you took these T1 point defenses, which also have been doing work for you, and you gave them legs. I know you canceled the nano repair. You did not need to cancel that nano repair. Yeah, you didn't need to cancel that nano repair. These tanks were not a threat to you. Neither were these tanks, especially with your gun comm upgrade. You would have been perfectly fine. And so then, you know, again, you're kind of wasting resources on that side of things. So in light of the fact that you canceled it, I would have just put it into a T2 HQ and put out some Ilshivas. Over here, though, another great thing that you're doing is you're doing like run by rating. So fantastic. Even though the Seraphim are not a very they're not a super mobile faction, like they're not like Cybran that have high movement speed. I think they're like the second slow, or well, no, they're second fastest. They're faster than Strikers. Yeah, they're not usually looked at as a rating faction, so great job on that. Only thing is, don't put your units right next to these power generators whenever they blow up, or else they're gonna like hurt / kill your units. So you lost like 6 tanks in that little line of P-gens. But the nice thing is, I think Smoons is hamstrung here. Well, not as hamstrung as I thought he would be, because he's still got the hydrocarbon. Yeah, he's more mass starved than anything else. Yeah, you took out, so I don't know if you noticed this, but these were T2 mass extractors. So taking those out really cut the legs out from under him. I mean, it's hard to see that whenever you're in your position where there's just like spam crushing down on top of you, but yeah, you're doing really well. So from a mass perspective, all right, you also have like next to no mass. Okay, so you did a really good job of reclaiming at the beginning, but reclaim is not something that you only do at one point during the game. Like, again, let's use our control shift. Not only is like the original reclaim field down here still there, but you've got like probably 5,000 reclaim mass in the middle there that you could be taking. You could have one of these factories crank out engineers and be reclaiming mass, and that would fix like your entire mass shortage right now. So just keep in mind, reclaim is not something that you do once at the beginning of the game. It's something that you need to be doing at all times during the game. And that's, again, something that took me a very long time to learn as a player, and it's still something that I'm not very good at. That's probably the weakest area of my play is the air game, but second to that would be the reclaim game. Like I don't reclaim as much as I should. But okay, so your com's on the run here. He's got 3 stars, 90 kills. You've got 4 stars, 215 kills. Jeez. Gun com upgrade, doing work, shredding strikers left and right. And so your nano repair would have actually really helped you here if you had committed to it. Oh wow, you got a great ranking vet there. Very timely. Okay, so here is the fruit of your labor as far as taking out his core mexes. Like, look at how few units he has coming in. Like, they're coming in like batches now, whereas before it was like an entire stream of units. So that's all due to your little run by up here. Great move. Your little run by here took out his entire core mass production, and that is ultimately, I mean, I know how this game ends, but like that's why you're ultimately going to win this game, is because you took those out. I see that you're also struggling with with target priorities. I did get the advanced target mod. Thank you everybody for suggesting that in the comments. A lot of this is I don't really know what kind of mods there are. This is interesting. Smooth seems to be on an attack ground. He's decided to attack the ground there. All right, there we go. Now he's moving again. And Fiasco's just playing Ring Around the Rosie, I guess. So his primary army has picked up reinforcements from his northerly. God, there's so much mass on the map. Like, God, this is. There's like a an Ethoda's worth of mass on the map right now in Reclaim, which is painful to look at. Okay, so yeah, we'll wrap this up. So ultimately, we'll go at 10x speed and just pew 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 pew. You win. Good job. All right, so let's talk about. Let's summarize. So why did you win? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say the reason why you won is you upgraded gun com. So to be fully transparent with you, you did not have mass control, or map control. You did not have a better economy. You did not have better production. He outnumbered you from a factory standpoint, like 2 to 1. The reason why is all because of this guy right here, the commander that you built out with 266 freaking kills to his name with the gun com. That's the reason why you won, plain and simple. to summarize, I talked a lot about things that I think you did well versus things that I think you could do better. So to summarize the things that I think you did well, GunCom obviously was a fantastic move. Spread out production, so having like a production facility here, production facility here, production facility down here, that's great. You want to spread out your production so that in the event that it's a redundant system, right? Next thing that you did really well at the beginning was reclaiming these trees, although this could have been better prioritized to other areas. And I think though that summarizes really what I think you did. What I think you did really well is you did a great job using the tools that were at your disposal as far as your commander upgrades, and then supplementing that with units, and that's ultimately why you won the game. So let's flip the coin, and we'll talk about some things that I think you could have done a little bit better here. Number one, again, going back to control shift, there's like 10,000 mass on the screen right now in terms of reclaim. So even though you did a fantastic job of reclaiming at the beginning of the game, it's not just the beginning of the game thing. And like I said earlier, it's something I still struggle with, but you need to be reclaiming throughout the entirety of the game. So anytime there's like a big battle and you see like large amounts of wrecks or things like that, if you win the battle and gain control and are able to push the bad guy back, not only do you push him back, but you also gain access to like all of this reclaim that you can then send engineers to reclaim. So then there's that. There were a couple of pointers on your build order that I think you should change as far as where your commander is going, how you build things out, etc. And then the last thing that I really think that you could have done better here is the prioritization of your resources overall. So while GunCom was a really good upgrade, I think that you should have at the very least committed to the nano repair. But I don't even think that was the best thing that you could have done with the resources. I really think that you should have gone for T2 land. Going for T2 land and pumping Ilshivas in this guy's face is going to win you the game 10 times out of 10. An Ilshiva, maybe I'll do like a Supreme Commander Science video on this, like what the T2 main battle units will do versus T1 and how many units it actually takes, or how many units a T2 battle unit can actually take on. But Ilshivas stand head and shoulders above the Rhino, the Pillar, and the Obsidian / Blaze, just because of their health and damage output. They're extremely tanky and very high damage output. They can even take on T3 units in some instances. So Ilshivas would have made this game a lot less stressful for you and would have ended up I think winning this game a little bit faster. While you did pull out a win, which is fantastic, those are the things that I think you could have done a little bit better. So reclaiming throughout the game, resource prioritization, and then a couple of tips on your initial build order. Otherwise, I think you played really well. I think you had a really good strategy. It was well thought out, even though you said that you were kind of freaking out throughout this game. So to the rest of you guys, I really hope you guys enjoyed watching. Hopefully you guys picked up a couple of tips from this. I know I sure as hell did. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.